Hey on TikTok, hey on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I'm an ex-asylum officer with the government, but now I'm an asylum lawyer. In my law firm, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And you're watching the Asylum Answer Show, where I'm going to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. How are you guys doing? Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from on this Wednesday. How are we doing, guys? Say hello. Say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing where you guys are joining in from. So say hello in the chat and let me know where you're watching from. Love seeing where you guys are at. Hello. Over on YouTube, we got Yalen Ong. All right, nice. I love the first comment on YouTube is from Yalen Ong, who we've been commenting. If I recall, you said that you did a consultation with my team. He says, "Hey Brian, I'm from San Jose. Case pending for 5 years. Preparing the funds to pass down the case to you." I believe you're referring for the funds to make an initial payment to hire us. That's great news. I'm glad that we're working towards that. Yalen, we look forward to supporting you. So thank you for your comment and thank you for the trust that you've said that you're prepared to put in us to help you secure your future in America through asylum, which is what we do all day, every day. That's all we do is asylum. Most people that you talk to that do law related to immigration law call themselves immigration lawyers, and they do all kinds of stuff within immigration law. That's not us. We're asylum lawyers. We're an asylum law firm, and we do asylum all day, every day. If that's the problem that you need solved, look, I think you should talk to the person and get the help from the person who specializes in the problem that you need solved, who is working on it every day, all day, instead of spreading their focus and attention out to many different areas. No, it's like when you go to a doctor, right? If you go to your general practitioner and you have a heart problem, they're going to send you to a specialist, someone who is especially trained and focuses on this one type of problem. They're going to send you to a cardiologist. They're not going to send you, the general practitioner is not going to treat your serious heart problem. And they're not going to send you to a neurologist for brains. No, they're going to send you to the person who focuses on the thing that you need help with. That's what I think we are for asylum. We do asylum all day, every day. If that's the problem that you need solved, then we want to talk with you. All right, we are about to, I want to answer your questions. First of all, say hello, let me know where you're watching from, and I'm going to answer your questions. So after you say hi, after you say hello, where you're watching from, let me know in the chat what comments you have, what questions you have about asylum in the United States. Look, before we get there though, I want to say I want to give you updates on a couple of news items, several news items actually. That have hit the wire, have hit the news recently. There's a lot going on, tons of action, as you've probably seen in the first week and a half of Trump's second presidency. And I want to tell you about a few things that are going on. All right. So, all right, we've got important immigration news to cover. I'm Brian Manning, asylum lawyer and ex-government asylum officer, and I'm here to keep you informed of developments of interest to the immigrant community. Now, I'm going to take you over to my screen and start with this news item from CBS News. It says, military allows ICE to detain migrants inside base in Denver area ahead of expected immigration sweeps. So what does this mean? Well, the Defense Department has approved ICE's request to use Colorado's Buckley Space Force Base for detaining undocumented immigrants. The Aurora base will serve as a temporary detention facility during upcoming operations in the Denver area. This decision comes as the Trump administration significantly expands the military's role in immigration enforcement, including deploying 1,500 additional troops to the southern border and using military aircraft for deportation flights. An internal CBP, Customs and Border Protection memo indicates that the administration is considering deploying up to 10,000 troops to the border and using additional military installations for migrant detention. This is kind of scary stuff because the U.S. military is not supposed to be involved in domestic law enforcement, in law enforcement issues in the United States. And they're getting dangerously close to that with Trump's deportation efforts. All right, this next piece is from the New York Times. Oklahoma moves to require schools to ask students immigration status. Oklahoma's State Board of Education has approved a controversial rule requiring public schools to request proof of citizenship or immigration status during student enrollment. While the measure cannot legally prevent undocumented students from attending school, it mandates districts to track and report numbers of students lacking citizenship documentation. Now, this policy, championed by State Superintendent Ryan Walters, aims to assist the Trump administration's immigration enforcement efforts, marking a significant departure from many other school districts' non-cooperative stance on immigration enforcement. All right. By the way, if you've been waiting for years for an asylum interview with USCIS, then let me know about it in the comments and let me know how long you've been waiting. We might have a way to get your stalled asylum case unstuck. All right. Okay. Back to the news update. We're moving on to this from The Guardian, actually, in the UK. No rebuilding without them. Trump's immigration crackdown will affect disaster recovery. So, the Trump administration's expanded immigration enforcement could severely impact recovery efforts in communities devastated by climate-related disasters. Immigrant workers form the backbone of the nation's disaster restoration workforce. With thousands of homes destroyed by wildfires in Los Angeles and hurricane damage across multiple states, the timing of increased immigration raids threatens to create significant labor shortages in affected areas. Experts warn that mass deportations would significantly delay rebuilding efforts and increase costs for disaster-affected families. That is no good, right? Moving on, Florida. This one's reporting from AP. Florida lawmakers passed sweeping immigration bill to help with the Trump crackdown. That is where we are. So Florida's Republican-controlled legislature has passed a sweeping immigration bill allocating $500 million to support President Trump's immigration enforcement efforts, despite opposition from Governor Ron DeSantis, who called the measure too weak. Now, the legislation requires all levels of government to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement and creates a new state immigration office. This bill provides $100 million in grants for immigration-related activities and $375 million for federal cooperation programs around immigration enforcement. Now, last to date, we've got this piece from NBC News. Immigration raids surprise New York City residents. And you can see on the screen some video of what's going on in New York recently. Early morning immigration raids in New York City's Bronx neighborhood marked the latest phase of heightened immigration enforcement under the Trump administration. ICE officers, accompanied by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, arrested at least one undocumented person in the High Bridge section. While officials claimed the target had serious criminal charges, recent data actually shows that around half of ICE arrests involve individuals without criminal records. Now, with these alarming developments, it's more important than ever to ensure that you have proper legal representation for your asylum case. Under the Trump administration, the immigration system is becoming increasingly restrictive and punitive. Don't risk your future in America. Get professional help now, okay? If you want to talk about your case, if you think that you might want help securing your future in America through asylum, then please go ahead right now and schedule a consultation. You can reach out to us online is the best way to do this. Go over to winasylum.com, 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 and you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. I'm Brian Manning, and as always, it's a pleasure and it's really an honor to support you in your asylum journey. All right, let's go to the questions. So yeah, another day, another round of disturbing news. There's actually even more. I just made a YouTube video about this in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking followers about a major announcement yesterday. That was a story that broke in the New York Times about the Department of Homeland Security is going to terminate the extension of temporary protected status for Venezuelans that was just recently announced at the end of the Biden administration. And so a lot of Venezuelans probably, it looks like, are going to be without status. Maybe over 600,000 people this could affect. They're going to lose their TPS status, most of them quicker than they expected. And a lot of them are not going to have any kind of protection. If you know Venezuelans that have TPS, you need to tell them to consider applying for asylum if they haven't yet, because that might be the way to protect themselves from deportation, including possibly expedited removal, like super fast deportation under the expanded expedited removal program that Donald Trump is implementing. All right. Enough of that. To the questions, to the comments. Let me know in the chat. First of all, say hello, say where you're watching from, and then let me know what questions you have about winning asylum in America, about securing your future, getting confidence, peace of mind, security, about the life you're trying to build here through asylum. Over on YouTube, as I mentioned earlier, we got Ye Lenong who says, "Hey Brian from San Jose, case pending for 5 years, preparing the funds to pass down the case to you." Nice, good. Then Ye Len asks, Muhammad Ali says, "Hello Brian." Hello Muhammad, thanks for being with us. Glad to see you on here today. Ye Ling asks, he says, "Preparation for asylum interviews. How many mock interviews will you conduct with me, and how will you ensure I'm fully prepared for the actual interview?" Good questions. Let me address it like this. The question is this: how do we go about preparing our clients for their asylum interview? Well, look, the key to this, first of all, is a mock interview, a full-scale practice interview from beginning to end, where you're going to experience everything that you experience on the day of the real interview. It's like you're at the real thing. This is key because the real interview is hard. It's much more difficult than people expect. But with the proper practice and having actually been through what is essentially an interview, a mock interview, it's going to give you confidence. It's going to give you peace of mind because you know what it feels like to be in this position. You know what kind of questions you're going to get. You know what the different procedures are. It's going to make you feel like you've been there and done that, which is going to help you to be less nervous and to perform better on the day of the real interview. Now, a couple of days after the mock interview, we'll do a debrief session where we will give you feedback on how you did and suggest ways that you might be able to more clearly articulate what it is that you're trying to express. And we'll just give you all of our best asylum tips. So the mock interview plus the debrief session is how we give our clients the best possible chance to secure their future in America through asylum. And I would just add that our clients consistently tell us that the mock interview, was the key to the case for them. It was the thing that really made them feel like they were going to win their case, and that in retrospect, they look back and they say, yeah, that was the most important part. Like, that was the most helpful thing. It was really the key to allowing me to do a great job at the interview so that I could tell my story, explain myself in a convincing, powerful way that showed the asylum officer how I meet all the requirements for asylum. So yeah, it's the key. Our mock interview and our debrief session that we do, our preparation, is the best thing that we do. We do other things to help people win their asylum case, including our asylum roadmap, which is also very important, where we're fighting the case on paper, explaining the case on paper. But to be honest with you, the mock interview is even more important. They're both important, but the mock interview is even more important. Okay. It's key. So is there any consideration for the Palestinian people? Maram, what do you mean by that? Let me know what you mean by consideration. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean. Brandon says, hi. Hello, Brandon. Thanks for joining us. We've got Sleep the Duh on YouTube. Says, hey, I'm in the U.S. from Egypt. Nice. Glad to have you with us. I've been to Egypt. It was amazing. Beautiful, amazing country, amazing warm people, warm culture, not without its problems, though. We've helped folks from Egypt to secure their future in America through asylum. Definitely. Mukhtar says, hello from New York. Nice. Up in New York City. I love it. I love New York. Peter says hello from Egypt. Oh, 2 Egyptians, huh? Brandon's up in San Diego. Nice town. Julius Ndum says, how? What do you mean? Maram is in Ohio. Nice. Look, Sleep the Duh says, hey, I'm an F1 student. I'm thinking of seeking asylum after every option. I'm an ex-Muslim, now atheist, and I'm pan, and I didn't have any threats, but I don't want to claim yet because it will affect stuff. And it's from Egypt. Affect. What do you think it will affect? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious, Sleep the Duh. What are you afraid it will affect? All right. The question is this: does it make sense to apply for asylum while you're in student status, like you're an F1 student or maybe J1 and you're a student? Is it a good idea to apply for asylum if you fear being harmed in your country, or could applying for asylum mess things up? Look, it's true that when you apply for asylum, you're sort of raising your hand and telling the U.S. government, like, I want to stay here long term. And that's inconsistent, right, with the kind of intention that you're meant to have when you're on a student visa, which is like, hey, I intend to do my studies and go home. So it's true that applying for asylum can affect your ability to like renew, to get a new F1 status, or to change to certain other non-immigrant statuses. But look, the good news is that once you apply for asylum, 5 months after, 150 days after applying, you can get your work permit and your social based on your pending asylum application. And that should be enough for you to go to college, and it should be enough for you to work full time, such that you don't really need the F1 status anymore. Okay. Students have a huge benefit in that, they can apply outside of the 1-year filing deadline, assuming that you've maintained your status. You haven't violated it since you came here. You've always been in status. That gives you an advantage in that you can apply outside of the 1-year deadline, and you'll almost certainly qualify for an exception called the maintenance of status exception, which falls under the extraordinary circumstances category of exceptions. And look, you're also in a beneficial position because if you're denied, if you get a negative decision while you have your student status, the good news is they don't put you in deportation proceedings. Instead, they just deny your asylum case, but you keep on with your student status. And look, it's possible that your current F1 status could get terminated if it comes to the attention of the school authorities or USCIS, the people at USCIS that care about this for schools, that look, you've applied for asylum, but honestly, I've never seen it happen. That's not to say that it can't happen, but in all my time as an asylum officer with USCIS and now as an asylum lawyer, I have never seen someone's student status get terminated because they applied for asylum. I've seen a request to renew, to change schools, get denied because of it. But I've never seen, if someone's just out of school, I've never seen it them take away that F1 status while they're still on it. I've never seen it happen. So I think that makes me think the risks of it happening are pretty low. The good news is that even if it happens, though, you should be able to keep going to school based on your pending asylum case with your EAD. So you don't, even if you're not going to school in F1, you're still just able to go because you have permission to be in the country, which you get when you apply for asylum. The receipt notice says you have permission to stay in the country while your case is pending, and you're going to get a work permit 150 days after applying for asylum. And I'm pretty sure most universities accept that you can keep attending the university in that posture. Okay. It's something you could talk with your university, your DSO about if you want, to get certainty about, but yeah, that's how that works. Sarah says, "Hey Brian, the Lakin and Riley Act, could it affect even an arrest where the case was dismissed and the case was sealed without any charge or conviction?" Yes, I'm pretty sure that it can. Sarah, it's bad news. I know it's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure based on what you just asked that, yeah, it could still apply to you, even if it shouldn't under the text of the law. The ICE could interpret it as if it does, but I think it does even under the text of the law. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it sounds like it probably would. Abdi Rahim says, "Hey, watching from Minnesota, what's your advice for someone who's been in the country less than 2 years with a pending asylum case related to the expedited removal?" I'm going to, Abdi Rahim, I'm going to post a video on YouTube in the next couple of days about this. I want like a tutorial, like a 20-minute long video about this issue of expedited removal. But for now, let me just say, if you've been here less than 2 years and you got a pending asylum case, I would lay low. I would try to avoid contact with the authorities. Okay, it's tricky. It's really tricky. It's hard. It's a tough position to be in. You're probably okay. You're probably protected by having the asylum claim pending. That's the best so far from everything that I've seen and heard, and based on my experience, I think that that's the best thing that you can do. The best way to protect yourself from being arrested, detained, deported, is to have an asylum application pending. Why? Because Tom Homan, the border czar, has said that. He said they're going to respect the asylum process. They're not just going to deport someone with an asylum claim pending without giving them a chance to pursue that claim. So that's good, at least, right? So the important thing, the takeaway from that is that for anyone who fears being harmed in their country, if you haven't yet applied for asylum, you should talk to an asylum lawyer right away, because having an asylum application pending, it looks like, is probably the best way to protect yourself from deportation under this Trump immigration blitzkrieg. If you want to talk with us about that, we'd love to do it. see what's going on, tell you, what we think about your situation, whether we're in a position to help you. You can schedule a consultation with us at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. If you want to call us, that's fine. Online is better. It's quicker, easier to schedule online, but you can call us at this number on the screen. Hey, TikTok, you're not seeing my screen. You didn't see the news articles that I was showing earlier because you're on the wrong platform. Go to YouTube. Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, go to YouTube. That's where I've got all my best stuff. Go to YouTube, search for Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm. It's also the name of the YouTube channel, Political Asylum Lawyers. And that's where I've got all my best stuff. I've got like really detailed trainings about lots of stuff that you need to know about if you want to give yourself the best possible chance of winning your asylum case. Go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers and subscribe, okay? And hit the bell notification so you don't miss the insights that I share on my channel. Brandon says, my brother-in-law finds out if he's approved or denied for asylum next week. If he's denied and appeals, how long will that process take? Well, Brandon, an asylum office, I don't know if you mean a decision from asylum office or from immigration court. In either case, I wouldn't hold your breath, meaning it might not actually be next week. Even if an asylum officer or judge told you that it would be next week, it might not be. So hopefully it will, but it might take longer. If they appeal, if he's denied and appeals, how long will that process take? All right. The question is this. How long will it take to appeal your case and get a decision on appeal if you get a negative decision on your asylum case from the asylum office or from the immigration court? Well, look, at the asylum office, if you get a negative decision, and you don't have legal status at the time of that negative decision, you get put in immigration court proceedings where you have a case, your case is heard. And that's going to take probably at least a year, probably several years. If you get a negative decision in immigration court, there's two different levels of appeals after that you can take to the Board of Immigration Appeals and to what's called a Federal Circuit Court of Appeals. Both of those appeal levels are going to probably each take at least a year, probably multiple years. So look, we're talking about after the asylum office from immigration court, Board of Immigration Appeals, Federal Court of Appeals, we're talking about multiple years for that all to run its course. Probably at least 4 years for that to run its course. Maybe much longer. All right. So there's time to keep fighting your case, and hope for the best. Okay. All right. What questions do we have? We got Nadum says, I'm a big follower of your channel and we learned so much information through your channel. I will say thank you, sir. Thank you. You're welcome, Nadum, and thank you. Thanks for the nice comments. I appreciate that. Carolina says, hi, Brian, watching from Houston. Nice. H-Town. Came from Colombia, applied in 2023, waiting for an interview. My children were born in the U.S. while we were PhD students in Colorado. Is their citizenship at risk? In the long run, I don't think so. It's tricky right now. Do they have passports yet, Carolina? If they don't, I would apply immediately, like literally right now, today or tomorrow. Let me answer it like this. The question is this. What's going on for children born in the United States recently to parents who are not citizens or green card holders? In other words, is Trump's birthright ban going to affect them, or are they going to get their citizenship here? So look, Trump's trying to take it away, but it appears that the directive that he issued will only apply to the future, to kids born after that. But even if they do try to apply it to people that were born before the directive when he took office on January 20th, both for those people and for people born after it, that decision is blocked right now. Trump's decision on birthright citizenship is blocked, such that if you apply right now, the State Department should give your kid a passport in recognition of their citizenship. But that litigation is going to play out. It's going to take a while to resolve it. In the end, I think that Trump will lose and that citizenship will be recognized for these people. Can't know for sure, though. We don't know for sure, but I would say apply right now while the decision is blocked for passports for your kids. Okay? Does that make sense, Carolina? My son was 23 Drumview says, my son was 14 years old, but last year we had interview at USCIS and moved the case to court. Now he's 22. Does he have to take a fingerprint again before the individual hearing? He should have had it before the interview last year, right? At USCIS, right? He should have. I'm pretty sure he did. So if he did, then he should not need to do biometrics again before court. He did it after 14 with USCIS, then he should not need to do it again with court. Okay. Nadum says, watching with New York. Sleep the Dust says, the military wastes so much time, wastes so much using the military for deportation. It's just a show off. Merrim says, how long does it take the officer to send the decision after the interview session? Good question. The question is this: how long are you going to have to wait after your asylum interview with USCIS to actually get your decision? So yeah, it never happens on the day of. They'll never give you a decision, and they'll never tell you the decision on the day of the interview. Instead, they'll say that they're going to either ask you to come back to pick it up in person. Like if you live near the asylum office, there's different policies, but basically the idea is if you live pretty close, within a couple hour drive, they'll ask you to come back in person often 2 weeks after the interview to pick it up. If you live further away and also under some other circumstances, they'll say, don't come back. We're going to mail it to you. We're going to send it to you in the mail. And we're going to try to do that in the next couple of weeks, but we can't guarantee anything. The officer is supposed to be done with the case, have it decided and approved and ready in 2 weeks, but it sometimes takes longer. So if it's a mail out case, if they're going to mail it to you, honestly, it's probably going to take several weeks. Might take more, it might take months, could even take longer. If you've been waiting, if you applied for asylum years ago and then you have your interview and there's a delay in getting the decision, you can sue to force that decision in an asylum delay lawsuit. We love doing that, actually. Okay. All right. Let us go to the questions. Eugene says, I filed a mandamus and USCIS scheduled my interview in the end of 2026. Wow, I haven't seen that. He says, should I meet them in court and attempt to schedule earlier? Ooh, that's a tough one, Eugene. Eugene, what asylum office is it? Let me know in the chat what asylum office it is. I don't know. Because if you fight it, if you don't settle and you don't pause it, but you keep the litigation active and you try to fight it, it's going to take a while. It's probably going to take that usually takes about a year, but that would be sooner than the end of 2026. Honestly, Eugene, I have not seen them schedule that far out on mandamus. We've been doing this a ton, suing a ton lately, mandamus, and we've had some that are out like 7 or 8 months. But we've never had one out like, almost 2 years. Man, that's tough. I don't know, Eugene. It depends. How long have you been waiting? How long have you been waiting right now, Eugene? What asylum office? How long have you been waiting? Because if you've been waiting like 10 years, then yeah, I might say don't settle, don't even pause the lawsuit, keep it active, keep fighting it, and demand it sooner. If you've been waiting a really long time, like at least 8 years or something, 7 probably even, then I might say push it. Don't accept the 2026, late 2026. All right. Kent Bummer M says, hi, Brian. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. I appreciate it. How important is an expert opinion or analysis for affirmative asylum? If so, how does one go about finding such an expert for their case? Good question. The question is this: do you need to get an expert opinion for your affirmative asylum case with USCIS? So we're talking here about like an analysis that you can have written, an opinion by a subject matter expert usually it's about like the conditions in your country, where usually these are like professors at universities who like focus on your country, like the politics there or the social dynamics there. And sometimes asylum seekers will pay them to write an analysis that's like, 2 to 10 pages long, where they just basically talk about the country conditions. And the idea is that hopefully it will support the case. It will address things that the officer needs to know about, that the officer can like rely on and cite to be like, oh yeah, bad things are happening there, or this thing that the guy's afraid of does happen all the time, so he's at great risk of that. Things like that. Honestly, we don't usually use them in affirmative asylum cases. We use them more often in defensive cases. My experience as a former asylum officer is that asylum officers don't really care that much about these. I think judges give them more weight and credibility and care more about them. I think asylum officers tend to ignore them and just focus on the country conditions resources that they are taught to rely on. And that's why we use those in our legal brief. We cite to those country conditions resources that asylum officers are taught to use and rely on. And I think that's a lot more powerful than an expert opinion, because I think they figure like, oh, you can pay anyone to say anything that you want. And so they don't give it much weight, especially at the asylum office. So I probably wouldn't use it. There's maybe a few really nuanced issues that I might need to try to address that I would consider using it for at the asylum office, but not very much. Okay. HUD says, "Hello, Brian, I'm watching from Seattle. Nice. Can I petition for my dependents right after getting my asylum approval?" You can petition for them. Yeah. For an I-730, you can do an I-730. Good. The question is this: once you win asylum, do you have to wait, or can you petition right away for your dependents to get asylum status through you? We're talking about using form I-730. This is for your spouse and children who were under age 21 at the time that you filed for asylum and remain unmarried right now. This is the form that you use to get them status if they were not included as dependents in your case, meaning they either weren't in the U.S. when you got asylum, or they could still be abroad now, or they're here, but they, for some reason, just weren't a dependent in your case. This is the form that you use to do that. And the answer is you can do it immediately. Like literally the day after you win asylum, you could file your form I-730 to start that process of trying to bring them here from abroad if they're abroad on this basis, or getting their asylee status recognized if they're in the U.S. already. So yeah, you can and should start right away. And you can seek to expedite this. If there's humanitarian concerns that issue for them, you can ask to expedite this. And we have had success with this. Okay. Nicole Hatfield with a lovely comment says, "No, we the Americans vote," in all caps for some reason, "voted in mass for this deportation. They are criminals if they did not file the paperwork and pay the fees. All illegals are going by." No, they're not criminals. So how it works, Nicole, thank you for the opportunity to educate you on this. They're not necessarily all criminals. So there is an actual crime. It's a misdemeanor called illegal entry, where if you come across the border without permission, it's called illegal entry, and that's a crime. But actually, just like overstaying your visa, like coming on a visa and overstaying it, that's not a crime, Nicole. It's actually not a crime. That's what a lot of people watching this show are. That's their position, is they came on a tourist visa or a student visa, but then they decided they needed protection, so they apply for asylum, and that's actually not a crime. And a lot of people came, Nicole, through the CBP-1 application, which is a totally legal way to seek asylum. Also, they came on the CHNV humanitarian parole program, or programs for parole for Afghans or Ukrainians. Definitely not a crime. So yeah, I'm glad though that you're watching, so that you have an opportunity for us to dispel some of those myths that apparently you're seeing out there. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for commenting. We've got Denver City says they're watching from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nice. Or no, sorry, Diver City. What law school did you go to? I'm applying as well. Minnesota. I went to the University of Minnesota, which is sounds kind of weird because I'm from Oklahoma. Now I've lived a bunch of other places. I live in Texas, but yeah, I went to school in Minnesota, University of Minnesota, which was good. Good experience. Law school was fun. I liked law school. Minnesota is a great place to live, by the way. Sometimes some of you guys comment from Minnesota. I love Minnesota. It's clean. It's outdoorsy. It's pretty safe. It's friendly. Minnesota's nice, and I like cold weather. So, all right, we've got AJ says, "Hey, my asylum case was dismissed last July. Can I refile my asylum with the court?" The question is this: if your asylum case got dismissed from immigration court quite a while ago, maybe several months ago, maybe even a year ago, what are your options now if you still want to pursue your case? Can you apply for asylum now with USCIS? Yeah, you can. Look, there's never been a time limit imposed on how long you have in which you need to apply with USCIS after dismissal from the immigration court. I'm a little concerned about the possibility that with more time going by, there is a chance that the asylum officer could say that there's a problem with the 1-year filing deadline because you didn't refile timely within a reasonable time after dismissal from court. I haven't seen that happen yet. I haven't seen that come up as a bar or an issue yet. I'm a little worried that it could at some point. So look, I think the sooner the better. But yeah, I mean, if you want to keep pursuing asylum, that's your only option now. Okay. We should probably discuss this in a consultation though. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, and schedule an asylum strategy session right now. Okay. If you guys want to talk with us, look, you can give us a call. Really the best way is online, but if you want to call us, I'm going to put the number on the screen. TikTok, go to YouTube to see my screen. Go to YouTube and search for political asylum lawyers. It's 713-909-0401. Again, that's 713-909-0401. But really, honestly, like just the quickest and best way to get on our schedule and to get this set up is to go to winasylum.com. Don't type www. It won't work. Just type WINASYLUM.com. Enter. Okay. And when you go to book on your mobile, it's going to look like this. It's like super easy and quick to get it set up. It just takes a minute or two to find a time that works for you and get on our calendar. Okay. Quick and easy. Let's do it. Let's talk. We want to talk and see what's going on. Tell you whether we think we're in a position to help you. If we think that we might be, we're going to tell you how. We're going to explain in very concrete details exactly what steps we're going to take to give you the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum. Okay. All right. Let's get some questions in here. Peter says, how likely is it the embassy will grant me a tourist visa, assuming I meet all the necessary requirements? I'm from Egypt. Peter, I usually only talk about asylum stuff on this show. However, I'm actually a former diplomat. In addition to being an asylum officer before that, I was a diplomat. And so I've done the visa work. I've done the consular work, they call it. I've done the visa work. So I've actually done this. So I know how this stuff works. I don't know what the exact approval rate is for tourist visas in Egypt, but I mean, it's probably the approval rate is probably not super high, probably hard, but look, it's definitely not impossible to give tourist visas to people. So if you show the things that they want to see, which I'm not going to go into now, then I mean, there's a chance. So the good news is take heart. It's possible. People win it. All right. Fatuma says, hey, Brian, someone came across the border April of 2024 and applied for asylum. Are they at risk of deportation under the Trump administration? Let me address it like this. Who is at risk of being deported under Trump's immigration enforcement actions, this deportation blitz that we're seeing in his first week and a half in office? Well, look, anyone who doesn't have permanent residency should be a little worried, especially if you came to the border, the southern border, or if you came on a humanitarian parole program like CHNV, or even including at the southern border through the CBP-1 application. Look, all those classes of people and people that came without a visa, without a parole program, and either asked for asylum or at the border or crossed without permission, illegally, all those people are at risk. Having an asylum application pending, I think, in my opinion, right now, is the best way to protect yourself from swift deportation. So if you're afraid of being harmed in your country, you should talk with an asylum lawyer about applying if you haven't done that yet. Okay. We've got Vinny says, which one has a better asylum approval rate, San Francisco Immigration Court or Asylum Office? Question is this: which has a higher approval rate, the San Francisco Immigration Court or the San Francisco Asylum Office? Look, I don't know off the top of my head, but they're both high. Both of them have high approval rates. And importantly, you don't get to choose, okay? Like you don't get to choose which one your case is heard by. It goes by what your situation is with respect to whether you're in removal proceedings or not. If the government has given you a notice to appear, this document that says basically, hey, we're trying to deport you, you need to show up in court to defend yourself. If you've gotten that letter and it's been filed with the immigration court, you're in deportation proceedings and your case is with the court and you won't have anything to do with USCIS. If you've not received this letter, then your case is going to be with USCIS. You're going to apply with USCIS and you're going to have an interview there. So you don't get to choose. But look, it's true that if your case gets a negative decision at USCIS, assuming you don't have any other legal status at that moment, you then go to immigration court where you get another chance. So you might have both, but you don't get to choose, okay? But they're good. Vinny, San Francisco's like the best place to be an asylum seeker, so that's good news for you. All right. Bilal says, I'm from New York. Nice. I'm here for 2 months. I need 3 months to apply for asylum, and I'm married. What do you suggest me? What do you mean, what do I suggest? Like, what do you mean, Bilal? Like, I'm not sure what the question is. Restate the question for me, okay? Yeah, what's your question exactly? In terms of what do I suggest regarding what issue? All right. Nice. Misha Bins KZ says, Brian, thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Misha. Thanks for mentioning that. You're welcome. Watching from Chicago, Illinois, Chi-Town. Nice. He says, Misha says, thanks to your videos, I got my asylum approved. You hear that, TikTok? Do you hear that, LinkedIn, Facebook? Misha's saying that Misha is not my client. He's saying he won asylum thanks to our YouTube videos where we have lots of trainings, lots of updates about asylum. Misha says, literally, this is the quote, thanks to your videos, got my asylum approved. So if you're watching this on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you want to increase your chances for asylum success, go to YouTube, search for political asylum lawyers, and subscribe and hit the bell notification, because that's where I've got all my best stuff, all these trainings and stuff that Misha says helped him win asylum. All right, Misha says, applied for LPR today. Nice. Good job. My question, what are the reasons that I-485 can get denied? Good question. The question is this. What reasons are there that you might have your green card application denied when you're applying for that green card based off your asylum status? So we're talking about people who want asylum, then they apply for lawful permanent residency, known as a green card. Why might you get denied that green card application? Look, it actually happens fairly often. The good news is, like, you don't need a sponsor for this, so it's not like a financial issue, which can often affect other people that are applying for a green card based on other things like family relationships. That's not an issue here. But what is an issue is that they comb through your whole immigration file. When they're looking at your green card application, they look at your whole file, including your asylum case. And often officers try to pick it apart and find things and all that information that look inconsistent. And then they'll say, oh, it looks like you lied to get your asylum, so we're sending your case back to the asylum office, and they're going to try to revoke it. They're going to give you a termination interview and decide whether to take away your asylum status. And if they say that, they usually end up doing it. It's hard to avoid that and overcome it if they take that step. So you got to do a good job with your green card application, taking into account the entire sort of ambit of the entire sphere of your case, and be careful in the way that you do this green card application. Okay. Jessica. Wow. Says Jessica Sarmiento says, I've been waiting for an asylum interview since 2013. What can I do? The question is this. What can you do if you've been waiting for your asylum interview with USCIS for a really long time? In this person's case, like 12 years? Incredible. Look, if you're sick of waiting and you want to give yourself the best possible chance to win your case, I recommend that you talk with an asylum lawyer right away about suing the government in an asylum delay lawsuit. By the way, you can get with us at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. Because look, you're in an extremely strong position to force your case forward to get your interview and your decision quickly through an asylum delay lawsuit. We call this a mandamus lawsuit. It's a super effective and powerful tool. We've been using it a ton recently, and it works. Our clients love it because it works. I think in general, you want to get your interview and your decision as quickly as possible. I think it helps your chances for success. That's even more true, even more pressing now in the era of Trump, where I believe with every passing month that Trump is in office, I think it's going to get harder and harder to win asylum. So yeah, now is probably the time to act. Talk with an asylum lawyer now, okay? We should talk. Who was that? Was that Jessica? Let's see. Yeah, Jessica. We should talk. Go to winasylum.com, please. I'm going to check after I get off of this show, this live. I'm going to go check our calendar and see if you're on my colleague's calendar, Jessica, because you're in a really strong position to have success with the asylum delay lawsuit. We should talk about that, okay? Ibrahim says, is it right for A2 visa holders to change status? Is it right? I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that, Ibrahim. Like, what are you thinking you want to change to, and why? I'm not sure. Not sure how to answer that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Good question, Sarah. This is a two-part question. That's a good one. Sarah says, is submitting filing documents like a personal declaration, country conditions information, will this help the agent to understand my case better and give me an appointment for the interview? So good question. The question is this: will submitting supporting documents with your asylum case, like a declaration, like country conditions information, and hopefully you have an asylum lawyer who's doing a legal brief and analysis, will that kind of stuff help the asylum officer to better understand your case? And will it help to get your interview scheduled quicker? Let me take the second question first. No, it will not help you to get your interview scheduled quicker. They don't care about that. Doesn't matter whether you file that stuff at the beginning with your application or later while you're waiting or right before the interview. None of that will help you get it quicker. But to the first question, will it help them understand your case? Absolutely. You can go a long way in doing yourself a huge favor in laying the groundwork for your case by helping the officer to understand ahead of time, before you even walk into that asylum interview, exactly what your case is about and exactly how you meet all the requirements for asylum eligibility. It's actually, in my opinion, a huge advantage. And we do this for our clients. We call this packet an asylum roadmap because it's helping the officer to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. And yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah, Jessica, come on, let's talk. Nathan says, hey, Brian, how are you? I'm from Chicago. Can we still apply for asylum, or is the site down? I didn't know it was down. Let me Google it real fast. Asylum application 589. Yeah, look, Nathan, I didn't know it was down. I hadn't heard that. I mean, the answer is you can apply for asylum. I'm clicking through right now, like the asylum online filing instructions tool, and it's letting me progress through it as I click through a couple buttons. So maybe it's back up today. I don't know if it's just down for a few hours or whatever, but I mean, yeah, the answer is like, yeah, you can apply for asylum. Trump's team, look, Trump is trying to deport as many people as possible. However, his team has indicated that they're going to respect the asylum process. When someone applies for asylum, they've said they're going to let it run its course, let the person actually go through the case and get a decision. That's good news. Look, that could change. To be honest with you, they might go back on their word on that. But for right now, that's what they said they're going to do. And, we're seeing it. We're seeing cases continue to move forward. So I think, having an asylum application pending is the best way to protect yourself. If you're afraid of being harmed in your country, you should never file a fraudulent, frivolous asylum application. Right. But, yeah. So Nabeen says, I saw news that right now we cannot file for affirmative asylum application. Is it true or rumor? I've not heard that, Nabeen. Where'd you hear that? Look, my office filed cases. I think we filed cases yesterday. If not, we're filing them today or tomorrow. We file cases pretty much every day, including affirmative asylum cases. So if like the site hasn't been working, that's news to me. But I mean, the general answer is no, we can still apply for asylum. Carolina says, I want to retain services with your firm, still working toward getting the down payment together, currently working as a teacher, sponsor terminated J status when I applied for asylum, now with the AD. I'm sorry to hear that, Carolina, but I'm glad. So it sounds like, did you have a consultation with this, Carolina? Carolina, I hope it went well. And it sounds like it did. If you said you want to retain our services and you're working on getting a down payment together, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I hope we can get started soon. All right. That we can support you. So thank you for saying that you want to put your confidence in our firm. I appreciate that. It means a lot to us, and we're going to work really, really hard to give you the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum. Okay. H. Pelite Book SVG Full on YouTube says, I won my asylum in court in July 2024 and now waiting for the 12 months period to be able to apply for a green card by July 2025. I've got good news for you. Look, the issue, the question is this. after you win asylum, when can you apply for your green card? Look, there's a lot of confusion about this question because it's true that USCIS cannot approve your green card application based on being an asylee, based on having won asylum. They can't approve your green card application until you've been in the U.S., physically present in the U.S. for 1 year after your grant of asylum. However, you can apply before that. You can send your application, your green card application, the day after you win asylum. Why would you do that? To get in the queue, to get in the line. Processing time is, last I checked, something like 18 months for that application based on when it's based on asylum. And the idea is you apply now, you get in that queue, and then once 18 months are up, they finally pick up your application. And by that time, you do have enough physical presence. You have been here for a year. And they're going to send you a request for evidence saying, oh, send us proof that you've been physically present here for a year. You send that in, and they approve it. So you're getting in queue by filing now. And I do recommend it. I think it's a good idea. Instead of waiting for a year and then you file, and then you got to wait 18 months or whatever the wait is at that time, probably even longer because Trump's not hiring any new employees for the federal government. So probably even longer at that time. So I do recommend it. Yeah. Applying right after you win asylum. Nice. RS says, I'm fluent in Turkish, Persian, and English, and I'm studying to be a paralegal. I was thinking it'd be awesome to volunteer at your law firm because I'm really eager to learn more about this area. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for your enthusiasm and interest in our law firm. We don't have a program right now for volunteers to take on volunteers or interns as like on a volunteer basis, but we might sometime. RS, send me an email. Send an email to info@politicalasyluምላwyers.com with your resume and expression of interest in supporting us and learning from us and working with us. And maybe we'll be able to take you up on that at some point. All right. All right. Adriano Oliveira says, I'm 19 years in the U.S. I have a pending assignment. Am I at risk? Look, I think everyone that doesn't have permanent status is at some kind of risk. All right. Look, when did you apply, Adriano? Did you apply for asylum? Please tell me you haven't been waiting 19 years for an asylum interview. Like you applied 19 years ago, right? Yeah. I mean, look, Adriano, we'd have to talk about your situation for me to tell you in more detail, like what level of risk I think you're in, and what I think you should do. You can do that if you think you want help with your asylum case, then you should schedule a consultation. You can do that at winasylum.com. Like it wouldn't make sense to schedule a consultation just to talk about whether you're at risk. But if you think you might want help in an asylum case, then go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. We want to talk with you, see what's going on, tell you whether we think that we're in a position to help you. If we think that we might be, then we're going to tell you how. We're going to lay out concretely the exact steps that we would take to give you the best possible chance of securing your future in America through asylum. That's what we want to do, okay? Snowball says, hey, will the Trump administration affect the processing time for my green card based on asylum? Good question. The question is this. The question is this. Are processing times going to change for asylum cases and for green card applications based on asylum under the second Trump administration? Look, I think that asylum cases, when people are applying for now with USCIS, are going to keep going quickly. They have been for the last few months. They were under Biden for the last few months, going very quickly for most people. Most people are applying. We're getting an interview within 1 to 3 months after applying. I think that's going to happen at least for a few months. With regard to green card applications, I think it'll probably go at about the same speed as it has under Biden for at least a few months. But look, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, I do think things might slow down because of capacity, which is to say Trump is probably not going to hire enough immigration officers to keep up with the workload. just like yesterday, the day before or something, he froze federal hiring. And so they're not hiring anybody. And he did that last time too, where he just doesn't want to staff up USCIS. And that could lead to longer processing times for both, asylum interviews and for green card applications of all kinds, including those based on, asylum status. So I could see processing times slowing down, especially in a few months when, people have left the government and retired or quit, but they're not hiring quick enough to replace them. It could be a problem. And there may be deliberate attempts to slow things down. All right. To make life hard on immigrants, which is what Trump wants to do. H. Pelit book says, thank you for these valuable informations. May the Lord bless you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. Very kind. We got does it say Mariar? It says, thanks for your videos. I'm in asylum pending for 9 months from Burma. I came on a J1 exchange visitor through a U.S. government funded program. Do you recommend to waive my J212E with persecution? Well, you don't even have to waive it. If you win asylum, you don't have to worry about the 212E. Like you don't have to. It's not a thing if you win asylum. I think you should focus on winning your asylum case. We have a lot of Burmese clients. We've had a lot of success with those cases. We know those cases well. So if you think you might want help, Marlar, we should talk. Go to winasylum.com and schedule an asylum strategy session with us. Okay. We got Eugene said he's in New York. Okay. Thanks, Eugene. All right. That's it for today. Look, guys, these are difficult times. People are scared, understandably so, because of just immigration madness going on with the Trump administration. But let me just emphasize one more time. I think that right now, based on what we've heard from the government and their actions, I think that the best way to protect yourself, if you don't have permanent status, the best way to protect yourself is to have an asylum application pending, assuming you actually fear being harmed in your country. You shouldn't file a frivolous claim. But if you haven't applied for asylum yet and you're afraid of being harmed in your country, we should talk and see whether it might make sense for you to apply. You can schedule a consultation at winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. Okay. I want you to go there. And if you might want help with your case, we should talk sooner rather than later. WINASYLUM.com. I'm Brian Manning. My law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers. We're based in Texas, but it doesn't matter because we help people all over the country. Lots of clients in California, New York, Florida, around Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, all these places, everywhere in between. We help people all over the country. Okay. So go to winasylum.com and schedule a consultation with us now. Okay. The spots are filling up quickly because there's a lot of interest, a lot of demand, a lot of worried people right now. So if you want to talk with us and get on our schedule, go now and schedule it now while there's spots. Okay. WINASYLUM.com. Again, I'm Brian Manning. And as always, it's a pleasure and an honor to serve you, to support you in your asylum journey.